The search for Planet X continues. Planet 9, the binary star, highly concentrated swamp gas from Yellowstone, call it whatever you want. A dozen new moons of Jupiter have been discovered. Carnegie Science, in the search for Planet X, they happen to stumble upon 12 moons orbiting Jupiter, the king planet of our solar system. Now, what's interesting is these 12 new moons that were discovered, certainly not new by any means, but new to us because we just discovered them. One of these moons has a very bizarre orbit that's going the opposite direction through these other 11 moons. It's about a kilometer in diameter. And they expect that it is the remains of a larger planetary body that collided with a comet or some swamp gas. And these are the remains. There's now a total of 79 moons that we know about orbiting Jupiter. And that makes me wonder about Planet X, Planet 9, that's so far out in the Kuiper Belt they haven't been able to discover it yet, at least via vision. They've got some great math to back it up. But then there's other scientists that come out and say, oh, well, those Kuiper Belt objects and those trans-Neptunian objects, those things would orbit that way anyway. It's just the way that it is, based upon gravity and space and other alignments. It has nothing to do with Planet 9. But then there's other astrophysicists and scientists and astronomers that come out, and they say, well, we can use these projections and these calculations and say that it's almost 99%, 98% that there is a large planetary body. But the thing that's interesting is it's about the size of Jupiter. So how would a planet the size of Jupiter, so far out we can't even see it yet, be causing Jupiter and the major planets of our solar system, including the sun, to tilt? That's what I find interesting. Unless it's just so dense that it's causing other planetary bodies to align its orbit, possibly. And then I think about the binary star hypothesis. If there's two stars in this specific solar system, our sun and then a binary twin that might be a dark star or a black star that we don't see because of the, unless we have specific infrared technologies and capabilities, it could be so far out there that causes these trans-Neptunian objects, these other planets, planetary bodies, and moons, etc., and maybe even certain asteroids, Halley's Comet, I don't know, I'm just throwing that out there. What if that's what causes these trans-Neptunian objects to orbit the way they are, and the way that they do, I should say? So when you see these orbits with Sedna, Iris, or Aries, and these other planetary bodies, you can see just go for thousands of years in orbit. Maybe they're orbiting this binary star and they're coming back around our own star. Maybe that has something to do with it. I'm just throwing that out there. But this Planet 9 hypothesis, if it is getting closer, and now it's very fascinating, folks, because I look up in the skies at nighttime and Mars is very visible. And if Mars is a harbinger to war, the planet of war, especially as visual as it is right now, you can definitely see it. Maybe we're in the midst of a oncoming war at a possible even global level. Let's hope not, but I was thinking about that last night. So anyway, the binary star hypothesis, these trans-Neptunian objects that are orbiting very strange orbits, etc., now they discovered 12 new moons of Jupiter, which I think is fascinating. But let me share with you a little bit of information here. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off for just a second. Okay, so in 2014, let me go back here. A team led by Carnegie's Scott Shepard first spotted the moons in the spring of 2017 while they were looking for Planet X, very distant solar system objects. In 2014, the same team found the object with the most distant known orbit in our solar system, and it was first to realize that an unknown massive planet at the fringe of our solar system, far beyond Pluto, could explain the similarity of the orbits of several small trans-Neptunian objects. This hypothesized planet, oftentimes called Planet X or Planet 9, the University of Hawaii's Dave Tholen and Northern Arizona University's Chad Trulio are also a part of this planetary research team. Now, Jupiter was in the area of the sky near the search when they were looking for Planet X or Planet 9, these trans-Neptunian objects as well, and they were able to discover these moons. So they did multiple calculations, orbits, charts, put all the data together, and then they found with other sources, other telescopes and astronomers, they were able to verify these 12 moons. Now, I want to show this to you real quick. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can scroll down here. I think this is great. So, okay. Just 1 second here. Okay, here we go. So this right here, it's called Valetudo, and it's the green circle right there. You can see this moon is orbiting the opposite direction, and they feel there's a very good chance that it could eventually either disintegrate or run into another one of these moons. I'll leave the links in the video description box for this. Now that brings another very interesting question up, is if 85% of the remains of the meteorites and asteroids and space debris, nanu, that we have discovered is linked to just 4 or 5 planetary bodies from billions of years ago, millions of years ago, Earth, Tiamat, and the Sumerian tablets that describe these battles in heaven and the great dragon and the asteroid belt could be the remains of Tiamat. Earth could be the remains of a larger planet. And that just makes me think, could you imagine if you are looking in the sky and you can just see this massive planet getting closer on a daily basis until it like hits the planet that you're on? I mean, could you imagine how weird that would be? I was thinking about that the other day. If there were people on Earth at the time of a collision of planetary bodies, not just an asteroid, not a comet, but actually another planet hitting ours, could you imagine what that would be like? Wow, pretty intense. And I wonder if on the way, if there were signs such as volcanoes, extreme weather, the collapsing of the magnetosphere, crops that you see that just get fried. Like, how do you explain that? Well, it doesn't have, they don't have the protection that they used to. Or maybe the atmosphere, the amount of oxygen is becoming less profound. I mean, what is it now? 20%, 10%? It was 40% just a couple hundred years ago. It's fascinating. Ladies and gentlemen, we live in amazing times. Be excellent to each other. Also, do you have a 401 or an IRA? You can move it into precious metals. Check out Noble Gold Investments. There's a great opportunity right now for Leap Project listeners. There's some great information, books, and data, totally free. If anything, just get the free books, the free information from Noble Gold Investments. If you're interested, though, check out how easy it is right now to move your 401 or IRA into precious metals. Noble Gold Investments. Be excellent to each other and be the change you want to see.